I thought today we could touch on some best practices to reach our artistic goals, how we can build some habits that will help us take the next solid steps in our artistic career. I decided to break today's subject into multiple parts. There's quite a bit to cover, and as of next week, part two will be available, so the wait will not be dreadful. Today, I'll be focusing on how to best set our goals. I don't pretend to know all of the answers. If you have suggestions or you'd like to share some of your approaches with us, other viewers and I, leave your suggestions in the comments below. That way, everyone can benefit from what works for you. I'll be sharing from what I picked up from my experience and what I came to realize with years of trial and error. Hopefully, this will save a few hours of frustration from your artistic journey. I should mention that this Curio Co series is intended to give back to the artistic community, to provide tips to artists who are dealing with the main peculiarities of the entertainment industry. By the way, that is my hand drawing. And for those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm C. I've been in the visual industry for over 2 decades, and I'm also a partner at Curio Co here in Vienna. Our main line of work is to create content and visuals. We aim to entertain our audience, our clients, and of course ourselves with the projects that we undertake. The tips I get to share are things I learned on the job, tips that are not taught in schools. My hope is that these tips will help you reach your artistic goal faster. After all, this industry is quite fast paced, so let's get started. There are some obvious things that one can do to achieve goals. Work hard and stay focused, for example. I'm assuming that these are part of your daily routine and that you're looking to find some new ways to make these obvious steps come to fruition in an easier way. I use the word easier, but we have to remember that if art was easy, everyone would do it. There is a lot to learn and a lot to master. Art is a large task to undertake. There is no silver bullet or magic potion, and I am not aware of a knowledge upload console like in the Matrix. Know that you're not alone in the struggle. It's okay to be challenged and slowly move forward with the artistic goals we have. It's part of the gig, just like the cool stuff that we get to make. Understanding this should give you a grounding feeling of normality while you make your way through the process of mastering all the little tiny bits that you need. There is a steep learning curve to get started, but later, after you found your area of interest and you got a grasp of the basics, you can refine your craft as the creative content just flows out of you. The most essential is to have a clear goal on your journey. This will be your driving force to move forward. And this can apply to other areas of your life, not just your artistic endeavors. I'm assuming that if you're listening to this, you're interested, generically speaking, in the consumer entertainment arts. Most likely, you have a more focused idea of where you want to apply your creativity, perhaps story, layout, character, illustration. If you have not made your decision, there is no need to panic. It's also okay to change your mind on your journey. We learn things along the way. That helps us understand what we care for most and what kind of commitment is needed to get there. But we can only find this out with a goal in mind. If you had some business classes, you might think of setting up a goal as creating a personal business plan, technically, a roadmap to your artistic success. It makes sense to think of this in terms of business. After all, you have to offer services, buy supplies, and of course, pay rent. You are, in reality, a small business. Setting up a travel guide for your journey allows you to see results as you look back on your achievements and forward to what will be achieved. Set yourself a goal and give yourself a deadline. If your goal is to be a character designer at Illumination by next year, what is the road that you're going to be taking to land that job? That will help you figure out how to get there. You'll be able to see objectively if you have the necessary time to achieve that. If you've never done any character design and you don't know anyone in the industry, perhaps you might need to add an additional sub goal. Break it down. Is your portfolio ready to be submitted? How long will it take you to put one together? How will you know when the post becomes available? Do you know the recruiters? Or do you know someone who works there? Maybe you can land a job at a game company in Paris. Perhaps that game studio deals with similar content as Illumination. That will help you getting familiar with the local culture. You can see if you are okay living far from home. And you can improve your skills while getting a salary doing something that you like. Perhaps because you are local, you might be a more favorable choice as a hire. After all, the studio of your dreams would not have to pay or wait for your relocation. It's clear to see how your goals and the deadlines that you have can shape your daily to do list. If you think you're lost and you're not sure of what to aim for, pick one from the many interests that you have. You can always change your mind if you realize that you need to veer in a slightly different direction. You are in the arts. Lots of what you learn along the way is transferable. A general understanding of other forms of art only enriches your skills. It will not be a waste of your time. Changing from painting to illustration or industrial design early in your career, it's easy. As you're building your career, the body of work you present will identify the next project. Going from illustration to industrial design will be a harder sell to your customers, specifically if they're not looking for industrial design services or products. You can be the best industrial designer in the world, but if people are not familiar with your work, it will be harder for you to make that change. At the beginning of your career, you have more flexibility, more playroom, playtime, and more energy. Take advantage. Just make sure you make a conscious decision of where you're heading. Make sure you don't sit idle. It doesn't take us anywhere. Sure, it will be comfortable and cozy, but sadly, it will later be regrettable. Now, this is important. Before you set a goal, make sure the goal is achievable or ready for the challenge to reach each step necessary for the goal. And you should be able to reach those steps in a reasonable amount of time. If you want to be the first painter on the moon, then break it down. How do you plan to achieve that? Write down the necessary milestone so that you know what you're asking yourself. By when do you have to be an astronaut? Do you have 2020 vision? The task is achievable. Just make sure you know where you're heading. Even easily achievable goals are good. Once achieved, if necessary, you can then supplement them with stretch goals. Get comfortable setting goals for yourself. If they are too easy, the next time you can up the stakes. Next week, instead of doing 2 hours of live drawing, do three. Break down the goal into tangible bits, achievable by the day and the week. That will also give you a sense of achievement, and you'll be able to see the progress quite easily. Write down your goals. Having things written down and with the deadline next to it makes them real. And if they're real, they are achievable. You can cross the milestones off the list. That will give you a visual cue that you're getting things done. And of course, you also have the piles of drawings sitting below your desk, and the fact that you can see you're getting better with your drawing skills. Goals will change due to unforeseen circumstances. Life can throw some real curveballs. That's why we need to be nimble and adapt. The important thing is to be aware that plans will change. This prevents us from being completely surprised and fully unprepared. we can and should plan for some contingency time. For the rest that is completely unforeseen, well, we're problem solvers by nature. After all, we're artists. And that's when our creative mind will have to do its thing. We'll have to think outside of the box and find an alternative route to the next milestone. It helps to be attentive, observant of what is happening around you. This will help you stay in motion. It will help you moving forward without any severe delay. These surprises that you'll find along the way are absolutely part of the journey. We all have to face different ones, sometimes identical ones. You're forging your own way forward, and the road is your own. Your mentor can give you suggestions and advice, but you are the navigator. You are the one who knows the ship and where you want to go. Keep in mind that you are not the first artist forging a career. This is part of the process to get to your own goal. Now that the importance of goals is out of the way, I would say that there are two areas that can be identified for us to implement good practice on. Our skills is the obvious one, but our attitude is something that we don't usually think of as affecting our output. We often think of mood affecting us, but not of our attitude. We don't realize that perhaps a little improvement with how we approach our task can get us closer to our goals faster. We need to keep an eye on best practices on both our skills and an attitude while we work toward our goal. In the next session, I'll be addressing skills and attitude. To recap what I touched on today, my advice is have an idea of where you are heading. Break it down into small, achievable goals with its corresponding deadlines. Make sure that you're committed to the goal that you said you wanted to achieve, and you'll be amazed how far you're going to get just by 1 week's worth of commitments. The results will start coming in, and you'll be eager to keep on moving forward with your journey. I hope that what I share will be useful to reach your next creative milestone. If you found this video at all helpful, you can support the channel by pushing that pesky thumbs up and the notification bell if you want to know when the next video gets released. In the case you'd like to leave a comment, I'll do my best to get back to you with the relevant info and, of course, answer your question. In the meantime, stay curious, keep learning, and, of course, stay creative.